Alright, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. I like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And today I just want to go into this news article that I came across. The title reads, Russia is firing hypersonic missiles into Ukraine that are nearly impossible to stop. So, I'm just going to read this article and bring out a few scriptures. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. And it says, until now, Ukraine's air defenses say they have largely succeeded in destroying a substantial number of the Russian rockets being fired into the country's civilian centers. On Thursday, the Kremlin threw in a new wrinkle. In an early morning attack on targets across the country, Russian forces apparently added several hypersonic missiles known as Kinzhals or daggers in Russian to the lethal mix. Ukrainian forces say their defensive capabilities are not up to the task of taking out a Kinzhal. 6 Kinzhals were included in Thursday's attack, according to the Ukrainian Defense Forces. Although Russia has used these weapons before in the opening weeks of the conflict, Yuri Ignat, an Air Force spokesman, told Ukrainian TV that the enemy had never fired so many of them in a single attack. Ignat said only 34 of the 81 totaling incoming Russian missiles were shot down. As you can see, the photos from when those missiles attacked or when those missiles hit, and it says hypersonics pose a serious challenge to air defenses. Hypersonic missiles such as the Kinzhal are a fairly new breed of weapon that combines superior speed with the ability to maneuver to evade being shot down. Not only are they difficult to detect, but they make radical and unpredictable course changes as they get close to a target. The Kinzhal, unveiled by Russian President Vladimir Putin 5 years ago, can accelerate to Mach 4, 4 times the speed of sound, and may be capable of speeds up to Mach 10 with a range of about 1,250 miles. The missile is also believed to be nuclear capable. An even more sophisticated weapon, Russia's Avangard hypersonic glide vehicle, can fly at speeds as high as Mach 27, according to the Kremlin. Another hypersonic, the Zircon anti-ship missile, has also reportedly been developed, but there are no reports of the Zircon or Avangard being used in combat. There's a debate over how much of a game changer they are. The Kinzhal is launched from an aircraft and has a shorter range than Avangard, according to James Acton, co-director of the Nuclear Policy Program at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. But last year, after the first reported use of the Kinzhal in Ukraine, Acton downplayed the significance of the weapons as a game changer in conflict. I don't know how much of an advantage Russia is getting from using hypersonic missiles, he told the BBC. This is a statement largely echoed by U.S. Northern Command Chief Air Force General Glenn Van Herk. Last May, Van Herk told a Senate Van Herk told a Senate Armed Services Strategic Forces Subcommittee that Russia was having challenges with some of their hypersonic missiles as far as accuracy in Ukraine. However, Victor Cha, who served on the National Security Council during the George W. Bush administration, told NPR last year that hypersonics could pose a real challenge even to U.S. missile defense systems. At the time, Cha was referring to hypersonic missiles being developed by North Korea. U.S. missile defense systems are good, quote unquote, he said, but they are mostly geared towards stopping a handful of fairly primitive missiles from North Korea. Those systems dwarf the type of defenses that Ukraine is using in the fight against Russia. They would need to improve. It's lucky they would need to be improved to be able to handle more sophisticated sorts of missiles, Cha said. The Pentagon, too, has expressed some urgency on the subject. Last year, D.D. Martinez, comptroller of the U.S. Missile Defense Agency, said hypersonic missiles pose a new challenge to our defense systems. The development and deployment of missile defense systems to counter these advanced threats presents unique but surmountable challenges which require further development and technology investment, she said. And yes, Russia is pretty much rolling out, the hypersonic missiles. Now, as, those of us that are in the know, we know that China, they were already developing, hypersonic missiles, but Russia is pretty much using theirs, in their fight against Ukraine. But ultimately, they have even, more devastating missiles than that, So I'm going to go to the scriptures. I'm going to start in the book of Malachi, chapter 4, and this is verse 1, and it says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day cometh that shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch." Now, ultimately, World War III is ultimately going to be, Edomite on Edomite, crime, so to speak. It's going to be the last war to ever be fought. But, this war that is going to be fought is going to be fought by way of, thermonuclear missiles, And I'm going to bring that scripture out. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, verse 5, and it says, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire." Now, yes, as, we know again, wars were fought with, swords and shields, spears, pretty much hand-to-hand combat. But over, the course of time, war became more advanced. It went from, swords, spears, bow and arrows, shields, such, to, guns, and then ultimately, missiles. That's what this last war is going to be fought with, burning and fuel of fire. And it even mentioned that, those missiles that Russia has, just those Kinzhals, they have nuclear capabilities, so if those particular missiles that they're using against the Ukraine are nuclear, they can do a lot of damage, And I'm going to go to the book of Job, chapter 20, and verse 24, and it says, "He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the ball of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him." And yes, that iron weapon, that ball of steel, that glittering sword are these missiles, the ICBM missiles, those intercontinental ballistic missiles. Now, pretty much, reading that article, it describes, what those missiles are capable of doing, and that's just those particular missiles. They're capable of traveling up to, over 1,200 miles. When they can travel from speeds up to Mach 4 to Mach 10, that's pretty fast. So, it could travel pretty far in a short amount of time, Excuse me, Slakia. And that's pretty much what's going to be used to take Edom out of power. These ICBM missiles. This is how America is going to be destroyed. Slakia. And I go to the book of Revelation, chapter 6, Slakia, Revelation chapter 9, verse 16, and it says, "And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus said Slakia, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and heads of the horses were as the heads of lion. And out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these was the third part of men killed by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads. And with the word is those describing those warheads, Then again, this is just a picture of one of those missiles being launched, That rocket, system that is propelling this missile, that's what it's talking about. Having tails like serpents because it's leaving a trail of smoke because of the rocket system that's propelling that missile, to hit its specific target. And this is what's going to be used to take America out. These ICBM missiles, 200,000, an innumerable amount of nuclear missiles, those warheads are going to destroy America and leave it completely desolate, I'm going to go to the book of Revelation, chapter 17. Revelation chapter 17 and verse 16. And it says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire." Yes, that's what these other nations are going to do. This is going to be the judgment of America. Even America's allies, along with their enemies, they're going to shoot their missiles over here, Then I'm going to come to the book of Revelation, chapter 18. I'm going to start at verse 1, and it says, After these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So yes, that's describing the animals that are going to inhabit this land after it's, been completely burned. Only desert creatures are going to inhabit this land. Verse 3, For all nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And yes, these other countries, primarily China, they have made a lot of money, off of America, because Babylon is the biggest consumer nation, Verse 4, and it says, I heard a voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye are sluggy, that ye receive not of her plagues. It's going into the elect being delivered from the destruction to come. Verse 5, For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. And the cup which is filled, which she hath slucked, in the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned. And she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord Yahweh who judgeth her. And that's what's coming, that judgment, that great destruction that the Lord is going to bring upon this wicked land. Because America, aka Babylon the Great, pretty much is the headquarters of the wickedness that's going out throughout the world, So it's only right that, this country gets the judgment that it's going to receive, Just going to read a couple more verses, and it says, the head title reads, Lament for Babylon. Verse 9, And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And yes, these other nations that have, waxed rich, from selling their products to America, they're going to lament, they're going to be sad, because they're going to see, as it says, the smoke of a burning. They're going to see America on fire. They're going to see that smoke rising from this land, and they're going to lament because they won't be able to make any more money, when the time comes. Because America is going to be destroyed, and it's only going to take the Lord 1 hour, to do it. And that's amazing, It's the book of Revelation, chapter 19, and verse 20. It says, the headline reads, Doom of the beast and the false prophet. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that had worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone. Oh yes, that lake of fire is referring to America. When it gets hit with those missiles, this entire land is going to be engulfed in flames. And that's the lake of fire. It's no, Greek mythology, a place called hell. And your soul is tormented forever. No, it's not what that's talking about. The lake of fire is going to be America. When those missiles are launched, this entire land is going to be destroyed. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to bring that out. So yeah, you know what? Bring out one more. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 20, and verse 7, and it says, "And when 1,000 years were expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is at the sand of the sea." Yes, the point of this verse that I want to, make is Gog and Magog, it's going into Russia. Because Russia is going to be, the primary country that is going to shoot their missiles over here and utterly destroy America, So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashum, Yahweh Shai, Bahashum, Rakakwadash. I like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from. And I like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till the next time I say Shalom.